Good morning, Armor Down. I am here with a colleague of mine, Brianna Renner from the Veterans Yoga Project. And I just got to say that the Veterans Yoga Project has been around since before yoga mindfulness for veterans was cool, back in the beginning. So they're celebrating their 10-year anniversary. So, Brianna, tell me a little bit more about Veterans Yoga Project.
Yeah, hi. Thank you so much, Ben, for having me on. This is an honor and a gift to share space with you and your Armor Down community. So I am the Chief Operating Officer with Veterans Yoga Project. We began as an organization to bring yoga to veterans, and we still do that. Our mission is to support the recovery and resilience of veterans, their families, and communities. And we do so by training yoga teachers and mental health clinicians in the tools of mindful resilience. So, incorporating mindful movement, breath work, guided rest, gratitude, and meditation in a practice that supports growth and recovery and healing. Um, I'm not sure what else I can say.
Perfect.
Go on and on. Okay, cool.
Perfect. It's a perfect introduction. And we are going to be posting some of y'all's offerings inside the Armor Down portal. You all have been doing the work since the very beginning. So it's just our privilege to kind of meld these worlds a little bit. And so, yeah, thank you for being here. Okay, so what we're going to do, or it is my privilege to offer you the 4 bells. And so what's going to take place over these next couple of moments is first I'll introduce you to the bell, and we'll determine what strike style you prefer to hear, because everyone's a little bit different through Zoom. And then we'll go through each bell. So the first bell will be focused on recognizing the present moment through the exploration of the senses: sight, sound, taste, touch, smell. The second bell will be engagement with the sensational qualities of the body, starting at the ground, just moving up the spine. Third bell will be interaction with the breath experience. And then fourth bell will be an open-hearted expression. And so I will basically invite you to offer an aspect of open-hearted expression in a way that's meaningful for you. And then at the end of the 4 bells, we'll just share a little bit of discussion about the experience of, whatever comes up. That sounds okay to you?
Yeah, that sounds great.
All right, so let's begin. So this is your classic Tibetan bell, singing bell. So I'm going to hit it 3 times in succession. One time's going to be, a high end, low end, middle. You tell me which one sounds best to you according to your speaker system, et cetera, et cetera.
Sure.
All right. Those 3 strikes, do you have a preference?
Second one.
Second one. Got it. All right, cool. Okay. So, Brianna, just start to get rooted, grounded, settling in. Here comes first bell. Just bring your attention to whatever senses are showing up first. Sight, sound, taste, touch, smell, and just kind of quickly tap in, like what's your body giving you first through your senses. And then start to shift your focus to studying the world around you with your sense of sound. influence your sense of sound, your awareness of sound, by reaching out with your sense of sound. See if you can find sound that is at a distance from you. As you explore the world of sound around you, move your awareness in a little bit closer and just assess the amount of sound or the amount of stillness that's right around you. Using your sense of sound as a gauge, just kind of assess the world around you for its predictability. And once you've recognized that the world around you is pretty predictable, almost, you can pretty much guarantee that it's going to basically stay the same for the next couple of minutes or so, allow yourself to come in a little bit closer to your sense of touch. So now really just assessing, the skin layer. Skin that's open to the air, skin that's covered by clothing. And then include some elements of curiosity and just kind of be curious if you can tell multiple temperatures on your body at the same time. Multiple expressions of the sense of touch at the same time. So now get a little bit closer in, a little bit more kind of internal by studying your sense of smell. Start out slow as you begin to focus your attention on your sense of smell and zoom in on the nostrils, zoom in on the experience of the nose giving its little bits of feedback, the movement of the hair inside the nose, the information that's coming in with each inhale, the recognition of smell, and also the amount of air that's coming in that is without smell. Let's finish up first bell by going all the way inside and going into the mouth. So noticing the sensational qualities of the experience of your mouth inside, noticing the tongue, back of the tongue, roof of the mouth, any taste in the mouth. And just finishing up first bell inside the body. Here comes second bell. Now send your attention down, down, down into your ground. Noticing how your legs are organized underneath you and how they're pressing against the ground. Noticing your rear end underneath you and it's pressing against the ground or the cushion or whatever you're sitting on. And then give a little bit of downward flex, maybe a squeeze of the buttock muscles or a downward press of the feet, kind of a rootedness. Establishing the rootedness, come up to the pelvis. From the pelvis, just engage with a little bit of movement and generate a little bit of feel down in the pelvic region, any kind of movement left or right or shifting. Using movement to assess edge, kind of the edge of misalignment versus alignment. And then after studying the edges of alignment, find which alignment in the pelvis kind of sets the base of your spine in its most comfortable way. From the base, travel up to the awareness of the core, the space above your pelvis, below your torso. Maybe noticing the awareness of clothing, moving on skin, and then traveling inside the core. And again, interacting with edges, maybe pulling the core in, noticing a sense of contraction there, a sense of movement. Letting the core rest, letting it out. Noticing the edges, and then finding the middle, the place that feels comfortable today. Core organized on top of the pelvis, moving up becomes heart space. Noticing the ribs, noticing the armpits, noticing the shoulder blades. Now with the shoulder blades, slide them back slightly. Notice the connection to the chest, how the front influences the back influences the front. From there, come into the throat space. Notice the inside of the throat. Notice whatever qualities of sensation are inside the throat. Notice the prickliness or the emptiness, just the qualities of the throat. And how there's a connection from the way down to the way up, from the way up to the way down. Now you can study that connection at its kind of quiet way by just noticing the way air is traveling up and down the throat. From the throat, come to the top of the head, top of the head, top of the spine. Similar to the way you shifted around in the pelvis, kind of a tilt forward, tilt back, tilt left, tilt right. Think of the whole head as having the capacity to tilt left, tilt right, tilt the chin, lift the chin. Noticing the small movements of the head, studying the edges. The edges, the off-center. Without off-center, we wouldn't know center. So once you recognize the edges, find the alignment that's comfortable today, and then kind of position the head on top of the throat, on top of the heart, on top of the core, on top of the pelvis, on top of the rooted ground. Just resting at the end of second bell, having gone through the alignment of the body. Now move into third bell. So third bell is all about interacting with the experience of the breath. So just before doing anything else, just notice the location of breath. Notice where the sensation of breath originates in your body, the sensation. Where do you feel it? Its location. Now, its intensity, the qualities of experience, the intensity of the breath, how fast it's moving. Now it's direction. What direction do you perceive your breath moving? Is it forward and backward? Is it up and down? Is there a three-dimensional quality to it? The depth of your breath, is it more periphery, more to the skin layer, or is it deep in your body? The depth of the breath experience. Now, what about the size? How much of your torso does the breath process take up? The top of the inhale, how much is expanded into the body? The smallness of the exhale, the end of the exhale. Just noticing the breath as it is. Breathing away, don't have to change anything. Now, with the experience of your breath today, what does the edge of your biggest inhale feel like? When you take your inhale to a maximum capacity, what happens inside to expand to its maximum capacity? Where's the edge of the maximum inhale? Are there any consequences inside the body to a maximum inhale? Anything pop? Does anything move? Does anything expand? Notice the feeling of the maximum expansion and the slow release. There's a effort that comes with maximum expansion, but there's a release of that effort with the slow release. What does it feel like to ride that maximum expansion down? Now finish up with the breath experience by letting the breath back to its kind of own decisions, its own determinations of how fast or how big or how small you should breathe. Again, noticing the space of the breath. See if you can just kind of finish up third bell by being aware of all the space that you explored around the breath. So the breath is doing its thing, but there's all this other space that you explored during the maximum inhales, noticing the difference between the smallness of breath and then the space where the breath exists. Finishing up third bell and moving into fourth bell. Continuing in the space of the breath. Inside the space of the breath is the space of the heart. The breath moving around the heart, through the heart, with the heart. Now focusing your attention on the heart space itself, the space of the beating heart. Let the breath continue in its quiet pattern and see if you can move in and feel the beating of your heart. Recognizing the sensation of the heart, the movement of the heart, recognizing that each beat of the heart is not isolated within itself, but that there is actual movement. Maybe you can get quiet enough in your torso and the soft tissue of your body to feel the ripples of the heart moving at the beat of the heart. Just a tiny little sway of the body. Recognizing the influence of the heart from within and moving out into space around you. Add your intention to your heart and add an element of expression to the beating of your heart with any form of open-heartedness, any form of practice that's meaningful for you. To be intentional about the end of fourth bell, and before you come back to the Zoom, take 2 more rounds of inhale and exhale, and have the second exhale finish the practice. Brianna, it's been my pleasure to offer you the 4 bells. Open the floor to any aspect of the practice that you wish to share with us. Thank you.
Thank you. That was really wonderful. I am dealing with some allergies turned into a cold. So I was very, it's easy when we get, sick or when we don't feel well or right to get frustrated. I get very frustrated, like it's
Yes.
holding me back and holding me down.
Yes, yes.
But I really appreciated the opportunity to just sit with that and, just notice my breath as it is. Notice the fact that nose breathing is a little tougher than mouth breathing is. The quality of breath changes, where you feel your breath changes, and how all of that resonates in your body changes when you're not functioning to your fullest capacity.
Yes.
So I really appreciated the opportunity to just sit and be with all of that because I can't change it.
What's the experience of frustration? So you're in practice, we're going through breath, you recognize the limitations of your capacity to inhale, to be with the inner space in it all. What can you give language to the frustration in that moment? What's that feel like? Is it like a judgment, or is it like a spark in your body, or is it I should be this way?
Yeah. So in my body, it's the frustration comes in where, I know what nose breathing feels like. And to nose breathe here is a very different feeling.
Yes.
So, it's this momentary observation of, all right, nose breathing's not happening today.
Yes.
So I have to just breathe in my mouth. And that, awareness of transition,
Yeah.
and just accepting that, right? Because I can try and be stubborn and breathe through my nose, but
Right.
be really messy and really uncomfortable.
Right.
So, just sort of letting that go, and the the patience that comes along with that acceptance.
Yes.
It's almost like a softening, right? Like
Yes.
when you try so hard, you get really tense, and
Yes.
you feel that effort. But when you surrender into the fact that, you know what, this isn't where we are
Nothing you do about
today.
it.
Yeah, there's nothing I can do about it. So there's a sense of ease, and you can really settle into the practice once you let go of that,
Now, I've heard this conversation around, kind of larger issues in life, just kind of let it go. But what I hear you describing is literally in between moments of breath, there is this acceptance and letting go, like right now, right now, right now, right now, right now, right now, right now. It's right now.
Yep. Yeah. And, it's the bell. So there's a moment when we recognize when the bell is struck, and we don't always notice when the bell ends, right? Like we pay attention to it, but we don't always notice that. Maybe we're just so immersed in our practice. But, when you take the time to pay attention, no, we're not nose breathing today, but we can mouth breathe today. There's that sort of, you let go of the edge, right? Like you can let go of that expectation, and then you can just settle, and you can just let the bell sort of drift off, and you can drift off into your own practice. That forced effort doesn't have to be there.
Yes. So let's wrap up, because we got a morning and we got a life to lead. So can you talk about that exact in the moment, this is why we practice, and as it relates to resiliency?
Yeah. So there's something really profound about being present, right? Like, my husband sort of not gives me a hard time, but I am present all the time.
Yep.
It's not to say that I'm not worried about the future, that I don't hold on to things in the past. But when you're in the present moment, you are aware of both the beginning of the bell and the end of the bell, right? Like, when both of those things happen. So when it comes to resiliency, being in the moment, being in your body, in your breath, you can recognize those moments of frustration, but you can also appreciate and recognize maybe the ability to step past it, or
Yes.
just acknowledge, you know what, this isn't where we are today.
Yeah.
This is where we
Yes.
are today, and that's okay. And then you can move on.
Yeah.
And this
Yeah.
is oversimplification.
Right.
Because
Right.
it's not always that easy, right?
Yes.
But with practice and with time, it can be, I don't want to say effortless, but it can be mindfully passive.
Yes. Yes. And to go from the practice sitting on a cushion, seeing a disruption, and in the kind of a pattern that you're very familiar with, because
Right.
typically we aren't experiencing the disruption all the time, and so we know what it feels like to do the practice smoothly and well, and everything has this kind of smooth characteristic, and then all of a sudden there's this disruption, and it's not only the moment of frustration is, I know what smooth feels like, this is what this feels like, this sucks, gosh, I just want to get back to smooth, why am I not back to smooth, maybe I should have taken this medicine, or maybe I should have done this, or da 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 da. But what you're saying, what I hear you saying is, when you're practicing the present moment, instead of going into that narrative, there's immediately the recognition that, oh, here's the way it typically is, here's the way it is today, that's okay, I can be present with it. And because I'm present with it, there's the opportunity to see the way to release this and to become settled in, and to find that space of smoothness, in essence of wisdom, like how hard to press into this edge versus maybe I shouldn't press into this edge, all that there. And then in time, that understanding becomes kind of where the practice takes you, that aspect of wisdom and interacting with life, trauma, the challenges that we face. You know, that little microcosm right there of the inner world has these understandings and expressions in the outer world.
Yeah, absolutely.
Brianna, thank you for pushing through the snot.
My pleasure.
You're awesome. Veterans Yoga Project, best of the best out there. Thank you so much. And we'll see you later.
Thank you so much, Ben. This was an honor. I appreciate you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.